Welcome back, and thanks for tuning in to the Made Remarkable podcast hosted by Kellee Wynn. In today's episode, Kellee is talking with Marina from Marina Teding Art to discuss how she niched down by doing something she loves in her business. Marina shares her journey from watercolor and oil painting to becoming a leading figure in cold wax art. She has built a thriving business as she delves into the joys and challenges of teaching and the creative possibilities of cold wax. Kellee and Marina discuss the importance of having structure in business, but also the crucial component of bringing something you love and are passionate about into your business as well. Check out the show notes and transcripts for more information about Marina, exclusive promotional offers, and any special links mentioned during the episode. Kellee loves connecting with listeners, so don't be shy. Reach out on social media, and together let's build a community that celebrates the remarkable. If you want to get notified every time a new episode hits the airwaves, just hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. Thank you for joining us today, and always remember, you are made remarkable, destined to achieve the unimaginable. If you've been striving to turn your passion into a profitable venture, if you're struggling with finding your creative niche, then you're in the right place. Connect with Kellee to learn more and get on the Build It Remarkable program waitlist by going to maderemarkable.com/wait. Now, let's get to the good part. Introducing Kellee Wynn and Marina from Marina Teding Art.
Well, hello. I'm Kellee Wynn, artist, author, mentor, fiercely independent mother and wife, and the founder of a multiple six-figure creative business. And I love my life, but I've been where you're at. I was slogging away at this art business thing for more than a decade, but once I finally connected with my true calling, unlocked the magic of marketing, and built a system that could scale, well, I realized I could make an impact and make a substantial income. I'm finally running a business that I love, and it makes all the difference in the world. My biggest dream is to help you do the same. Let this podcast be the catalyst to your biggest success. You already have it in you because you are made remarkable. Hi, Marina.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine. Thank you for having me.
Coming from beautiful
France.
south of France,
Yes.
huh?
Sunny weather.
Sunny weather, long, late days.
Yes.
I'm missing it terribly right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's lovely here.
Not that it's been beautiful weather here too, but well, I've said many times how France is one of my absolute favorite countries, and I could visit it many times over and
Yeah,
never
well,
be
next
bored.
time visit me.
I will.
Nice.
It's on my list to get there again within the next year. As you know, I was supposed to go this spring,
Yes.
and I had to cancel everything.
Yeah.
And I'm just in a different world of taking time and being gentle with myself and getting back into the swing of things. But the best way for me to get through hard times is to keep dreaming. So speaking of which, your big audacious dream, you had begun even before we met. You were already running your own art courses and building your business.
Yes.
So let's talk about your voice, your style, the work that you do, how you created your cold wax medium business.
Well, I started out as a watercolor painter. I've painted for many years in watercolors. And then I wanted to switch to something else. And it was always a hobby. It was never very serious. And then I switched to oils, and I really liked it. And I painted a lot of portraits, very detailed portraits as well. But there was something missing in my process. So I searched on the internet, and I stumbled upon the cold wax medium, which is not known here in Europe at all. So I found it in the US, and I really, really loved that look of it. And I thought, oh, I can change it to my own process, to my own figurative process, because I am a figurative painter, even though it's slightly abstract, but it's not abstract. I'm not an abstract painter. And a lot of cold wax artists are abstract painters. So I thought, I will just adapt this technique to my own process. So I started just to paint for myself, practice, practice, practice. And then suddenly Ivy Newport asked me to do a class for her. That was really the beginning of everything. That changed everything. And I was
Yeah, I
about
can
to
see
say,
the connection too between the kind of artwork that you create and the dreamy kind of life art that Ivy Newport's world has
yeah,
created. Like
yeah,
it's a
yeah. She's
peripheral.
figurative, but not as not detailed either. And there's a connection. And she loved the work and the feel of the cold wax. And she asked, and I was about to say, no, I can't. I don't dare to speak English in front of the camera. I don't dare
Oh,
to film. I was typing and I thought, you know, I erased this and I just say yes. And that was really the start of everything.
being
I thought,
brave.
I'm almost 50. I'm not going to hide again, and say, I can't do this. I can't do this. I just do it. And then I said yes to her. And it was the start. I'm really, really grateful to her because that was the start of everything. So I built my first class for her. It's still there. It's figures in cold wax and oils. And then I was asked by Olga Furman and Kara Bulek to do the joint
Oh,
classes. So that was the next step. And then after that, I thought, I can do this myself.
yes. So
So
collaboration started your
it
journey
started with,
to
yeah,
teaching.
yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
exciting.
So I like the teaching. I love the teaching, which I didn't know because I've never taught before. So I didn't really know if people would like it, if I could do it, because the cold waxing medium and oils process is not really step-by-step process. It's like putting paint on, scraping it off, very ugly face in the middle, then trying to pull it together again. So I had to learn that as well, and explaining in English painting. So the right and the left brain were like fighting each other.
And yet somehow you pulled it all together.
And yes, it worked, and I love it. Yeah, I really love it.
It's such a beautiful and unusual technique. I mean, and now that you're reminding me that you did a class for Ivy Newport, I remember it because I've been friends with her and part of her program for a while. And it's like, yeah, there is something completely, it's a dreamy, it's very special, it's got all this texture. But one of the things that you've mentioned is how oil is something that a lot of people have a bit of fear around trying. And so
Yeah,
even though you've niched down to a very specific figurative and cold wax and oil, which I always encourage, totally encourage, the easiest way to really build a business is to be very niche and very specific about what you specialize in. You decided to take a little bit of a leap from cold wax and oil and add in a way of doing this for acrylic painters.
yes. Yes, because there are a lot of people ask me, oh, can cold wax medium be mixed with acrylics? And you had to say no, because there's a solvent in the cold wax medium. So you can't mix it with acrylics. And a lot of people don't want to paint with oils because of the fumes, because of the smell. That's why I painted for years when the kids were smaller in watercolors, because it's easy. So I could understand. And even though I'm really hooked on the cold wax and oils, I thought, oh, there must be a solution. So I started research on the internet.
Yes,
And
as
that's how
good
I
things
find
begin.
things. And I found the cold wax, the water-based cold wax for acrylics. And again, the manufacturer was doing different things than I do with it. So I thought, okay, I can also adapt this to my technique. So I experimented, explored. And yes, you can get quite similar effects with the water-based cold wax and acrylics than with the oils in the cold wax medium. It's not as rich, and there's not the rich colors of the oils you can't get with acrylics. There's more depth with oils and cold wax, but there are a lot of similarities as well.
Which is wonderful because it's a stepping path for those who might not want to work with oil or they're maybe intimidated. I think a lot of artists are intimidated by oil paints. The barrier to entry with water soluble stuff is just seems like it's easier for some reason. But maybe it's just a matter of taking the time to explore new mediums, which you're opening that door
Yeah.
for your students.
Yes, yes. And I think it gives a different touch to your acrylic painting as it does it to the oils paintings, because I I did the oils and I like the oils, but there are rules, you have to do fat over lean and you have to be careful. And, I'm not about the rules. So I thought, I don't like rules. So, and once you mix in the cool wax medium into your oils, there are no rules. So you can add pen pastels and crayons and everything. You can
See, I didn't know
neocolors,
that.
everything. As long as it's not acrylics, but you can add a lot of things. And I
A
think
lot of
that's
mark
with
making.
mark making, yes. And I think
So
that with acrylics it's the same, there are no rules. So the possibilities are endless.
Well, I know that about acrylic, but there's still a lot for me to learn about oil paint. My father was an oil painter. I had always intended to learn oil paint, but I, like many other people, like it's easier to use acrylic, water-based, blah, blah, blah. But it's fascinating to me too to learn, like, that was one of the things that I hesitated about learning oil paint, is that there are rules.
Yeah.
Right? Like the fat over lean, like you're explaining, you can't paint thin layers over thick layers because then
No.
you're going to end up with this drying time that's weird. And like there were all these things that I was like, I don't know if I can do that. But so what you're saying with oil paints and cold waxes, it throws a lot of those rules out the window.
Yeah. That's why you can be much more creative, I think, for me, because you don't have any rules anymore. Well, of course, there are some rules, but no, you don't have the strict rules about the fat over lean. And especially when dry or even tacky, you can add so much mark making. And yeah, I love it.
Okay, now
I
you're
can talk
piquing my
about it for
curiosity.
hours.
Like I love
Ask
to
me.
talk. I love to talk art supplies, art techniques, arts, like just what's possible with it. And I love that you spend all this time just exploring it to get it to work the way you had a vision for it rather than just what other people were doing. And that's
Yeah.
where you brought in the figurative and all these juicy layers. And the thing is that I don't think oil paints are that toxic except for the materials that you need to use to mix in and clean it. So if you're keeping it clean and it's oil paint and cold wax, most of the time you're working with it, it's totally safe.
It is, and I'm hardly using any solvents, except for one technique that's solvent reduction. So you can take the paint off when you put solvent on, but you don't have to do it. And I clean my bowl scrape. We work with the scrapers and palette knives. I clean them with baby wipes and baby oils.
Oh,
So
okay. So there
I
are,
hardly use any solvent. It smells nice in my studio.
I know, I miss the smell of oil paint. That's one of those things that there's this little story I just want to tell you really quick. I don't know where you are in France, but my mom and I were traveling from Nice and we were driving over to Aix-en-Provence and we went through this
Yeah.
little hill town and I don't remember the name of it, but it was just beautiful, picturesque as France usually is. And we were just spent the whole afternoon in this little town and I know she'd remember the name of it. And I just remember walking into all these little art studios. It smelled like oil paint. And one we walked into, she was actually a restorer for the Louvre. And it was just like to walk in there and smell the oil paint and see her working on restoring paint, old paintings. Is like there is something very magical about it. And it's almost like I'm talking to the audience right now, like, yes, Marina has found a solution if you are an acrylic painter to be able to do these techniques, but
Yeah.
how exciting would it be to just dive into something completely unexpected and new using oil paints and cold wax?
Yeah. The only disadvantage is that in Europe it's difficult to get the cold wax medium for oils.
Yeah, so you have to
Yeah.
have it shipped to you from
Yes,
outside.
outside. Yeah, there's few, so that's a bit of a pity. But I
So
make it myself now, so
you make your own cold
yeah,
wax.
I make my own cold wax. Yeah, I have to because it's I can buy it in Holland. I'm from Holland, so I can buy it or I send it to my mother and she takes it here, or we have this
Okay.
traffic of cold wax. But I prefer to make it myself because I give in-person classes as well, so they need the cold wax too.
Oh,
So I
that's
make it
really fun.
myself.
Do you teach your students how to make it themselves if they want to?
No, I make it for them.
Well, maybe that's one of those things you're gonna have to show us, how to make our cold wax.
Yes, it's not that difficult.
It's not. See, to me, it's a
No,
mystery.
no. But yeah, it's true that the water-based cold wax is easier to get here in Europe and in the US. So it's often sold out now, but it's, it's easier to get,
Yeah.
like the acrylics probably.
So talk to me a little bit about your business journeys. You worked in collaborations with Ivy Newport and some of the other very well-known, Cara Bullock, and especially a lot of them really feature figurative type, portrait type artwork. So naturally, I can see why you
Yeah.
were drawn into that. And then you decided to build your own business out of it, which is exciting. Like,
Yeah.
it's a dream for a lot of artists to be able to monetize their creativity, turn it into a profitable business. Was it as easy as you thought it would be, or were there a lot
No,
of
well, I
hurdles?
didn't think it was easy, and it's still not easy.
And that's something
So
that I'd like to dispel. So why? But I've been having deep conversations with friends and other creators and other people who build this business, why we keep going even when we know that the road is going to be pretty rocky along the way.
yeah, well, I'm lucky that it's not our main income. So that's already, the base. I was a stay-at-home mother, and I had the time to develop a little bit of my creativity and my business.
Mhm.
So of course I'm grateful, because it is a bumpy road, you go high and you go deep, so to say, to speak.
Yes.
And sometimes it's difficult to see the next step or where you want to go. And that's one of the reasons that I joined the Build Remarkable. Maybe that goes a bit fast, but
No, no, no.
there's a few years
Yeah.
in between that it worked really well, and I just built my classes, but I never did the real launch like I should have done, but it worked, and I was really happy, and I had really, really good feedback. So that's nice too, that's amazing, the letters you get, the emails you get, and the words of praise, and
Yeah, that's
that helps to be more confident to speak English, to paint, to
yeah.
film, everything.
Yeah. Well, your English is great. And this is something that I'm always like reminding people, no one really is critiquing you on that. They just want the experience with you anyway. But it is the feedback we get from our students that the reason why we keep going.
Yeah,
And even though it's hard, there's still something so satisfying in being able to build something for yourself.
yeah,
I think that's the reason why many of us keep going, even when it feels hard or
yeah,
challenging.
yeah. Yeah, I
So,
know. I'm really happy that I just jumped in, and I'm doing it. And it's just after a few years, I realized that there was no structure, because I just started. I built my own school. I built my own website. I did some Facebook advertising, not that much, but some. My sons helped me, but there was no structure. So that's what I found the internet again.
and
No,
you
I knew
found
you already,
me.
but I thought I need someone who, gives me direction. So then I found you.
I was so grateful that you joined me for our very first founders group. And
Yes.
it was really fun to get to know about you and Cold Wax and see the development of your ideas and how you were communicating it. A lot of what we talk about is getting clear on our purpose and the direction we're going and who we're serving and how we message that and communicate that. And then some of the most important foundation things like building the email list and making marketing campaigns and putting
Yes.
our work out into this world. And those were all pieces that you kind of had to in place. And I like that you mentioned like a lot of us start our business and we just keep trying all the things without any real structure, which is that's what I've been trying to work on really clearly with any of my remarkable programs is how do we simplify it? How do we have some structure and how do we keep moving forward without it being so overwhelming? And
Yeah.
you've made some adaptations. There's no doubt you're still working hard, but one thing you just told me before we hit record is you actually worked into your system hiring a virtual assistant.
Yes.
And that I really do believe that's a big path to making your business less stressful, but in order to get to that point, you have to have some systems in place. You have to
Yeah.
know you have to know which direction the train is heading, right?
Yeah. No, I've always said, well, I can do it myself, but now I see you can't do it yourself. After a few years, it's just too much to do it yourself. And especially with the changing social media and the reels and the captions and, you know, everything, the keywords and the SEO and the YouTube and the Pinterest. And it's
Yes.
like,
Well, I will say I do highly encourage people who are just starting off in this journey to just pick one. But eventually you get to the point where you've been creating systems, and especially with the primary content machine, the way we discuss it inside of Build It Remarkable and building up our Prism marketing system, which is actually really meant to be very simple. You create the content, you lead people to your juicy lead magnet, they get on your list, you nurture them. But eventually with that primary content you're creating, you start seeing like, okay, well, I also want to develop it so I can put it on Pinterest and so that I can make sure I'm showing up on Instagram. Like you said, in order to get to that place where you can actually repurpose all the content you're making and share it in new places, you end up like, is this all I'm ever going to do? Or is
yeah,
my
that's
time
it.
better
Yeah.
spent doing something else? And in your case, you know, you still have new development you need to do for your products and your courses. Only you can be the one creating the art. Only you can be the one showing your face on social media and saying, hi, I'm here. But you can turn over someone else to take your videos and edit them or write the
Yeah.
captions or post things on your website or update your graphics. It's like it's super life-changing once you have simple systems in place that you can just hand it off to somebody else.
And repurpose your content. I've never thought about it, you know. Before the Build It Remarkable, I made something and then I forgot about it. But now I realize that I have so much content, never you, or maybe once used in a reel, but I've never realized that you can post it as a short, that you can post it on Pinterest, that you can post it, you know, all the same things.
All the same things in so
Yeah.
many ways. You can
So,
reuse the captions to turn them
yeah,
into an email. You can turn that into a blog
into
post.
blog and
There are
yeah,
so many ways to just continue to repurpose it.
yeah,
And it's really great because once you get those systems in place, like you've discovered hiring, and you hired a really good virtual assistant.
yes.
Little pro secret here for all of you listening. We tend to be sharing the same really amazing people
Yes, and
over and
she's
over again.
absolutely lovely.
She is so lovely. We're not going
Yeah,
to tell you who it is because she's already tapped out.
yeah.
But I
That's
bet
it.
you she may have
I
friends
will
who
need her more. So
yeah, we're all like, please, we want to keep you for ourselves. But nonetheless, that's one thing that is beautiful once you're inside of a community is information is shared and people support each other. And we say, okay, but instead of doing it all yourself, you know, I hired someone to do the like Pinterest. So would you like that email, that person's email to contact? And here's my template for my project management. Take my template from me. Here's my terms and use agreement. Go ahead and use that. And we start sharing things so we don't have to keep building everything from scratch. And I
yes.
love that about a good, strong community means that we have support from one another.
Yeah. That's what I loved about the Build It Remarkable, that, you know, we were a group and it's true that I had some things in place, but it's good to listen to the others and all the amazing ideas you had for everybody. So that helps too, because that makes you think and it makes you, you know, go other ways than you would do on your own. And I think
Yeah,
I have
because
a clearer vision of what I want to go. There's still a lot of work to do, but at least I know where I'm going.
well, one of the things you decided was even though you have a really clear specific niche was you were broadening it just a little to be able to include acrylic and cold wax.
Yes.
So everything is pretty much still the same. You're just like welcoming a different type of medium into a very clear focus.
Yes, I will
These
still do the
lovely,
cold wax.
yeah, it's still cold wax. It's still these lovely figurative
Yes.
pieces and these very ethereal, beautiful layers.
Yes.
And just getting those systems in place and meeting other people that are on the same path as you,
Yes.
you know.
Yes. That's it. And of course I still want to paint. I have to paint sometimes without a camera on my hands.
Without the
You know, I'm
camera.
still a painter.
Well, and that's
So,
why I've really been doubling down on the things that I taught last year. And I'm like, how can we make it simple so that more people in creative businesses can get their time back to make more art? Like,
yeah.
because we didn't get into this business so that we would not have time to make art and spend all of our time in front of the computer screen. So in order to do that, it's like you just have to build up a simple system and put it on repeat.
Yes, that's for sure. Yeah, I need it. So I think most of us need it. And it's good for your student as well, because, you keep developing your style, you keep developing your
Mhm.
things, you keep discover, even after these years, you keep discovering things which you can share with your students. So I think it's important as well, just to paint for you or for yourself.
Right. Keep the energy alive, keep
Yeah.
it fresh for them. And
Yes.
and it's something that I worked really hard with in my programs, especially getting feedback from my clients saying, how can we do this so that there isn't burnout? How can we do this so that we have more time to make art? How do we do this so that we can still take vacations and our weekends off and not be always working? And it really comes down to, I have a strong belief that you pick a niche, you develop your point of view, and you put all of your systems on repeat, and you
Yeah.
don't keep reinventing the wheel, which
Yeah.
honestly, I've discovered all this because I'm guilty of doing that. Like every 4 to 6 months, it was like, okay, what new thing can I add? What new thing am I going to develop? Instead of saying, how can I improve what I've already done and enrich the experience of my students? And once you figure that out, it's like the business actually gets easier.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I did, because I kept making classes. I did the figure, the portraits, the basics, the color, and then a children class. And I thought, I can keep making classes, but I have the classes. I can make them bigger or bring them more to the attention of people,
Find new
instead
customers.
of,
Yeah.
making classes, each time launching it just to my email list. That's the other reason I was looking for the Build It Remarkable, just, the launch system, the sales page, everything, the whole system.
The whole system, and
Yes.
especially building that list, which is the most
Yeah,
important thing.
building the list and everything. Yeah.
So do you feel like this year is gonna be a lot easier for you? I mean, it's still work no matter what we
Yeah, I
say.
don't think it will be easier, but I feel I'm, for the first time in my art business, I made the planning for the whole year. And then I
Yeah.
made the planning for the year, the planning for the month, the planning for the weeks. And that, for me, they're huge steps, because I've never done that. And now it's easy, because you can see, you can have the overview of what you want to do. And that gives me this kind of, rest, like, oh, I did that too.
Yeah, I
I
love that.
filmed that class, chung, I can just, yeah.
So
If
what are
not,
you
it's
looking
in my
forward
head, like chung, chung, chung.
Yeah, I mean, that is how most of us are. It's like everything's just spinning like, what do
Yeah,
I need to do today? Instead, you're like looking forward and saying, okay, if I want something big to happen in November, I can work my way back and be
yeah,
prepared.
that's exactly what I'm doing now.
Exactly. And then that's all part of the formula as well. What are you
Yes.
looking forward to the most this year as your business grows? What is it that's got you still lit up and excited?
Well, I'm painting wise, of course, I just want to develop my own process. Of course,
Yeah.
I always want to, I'm a painter, so I always want to make progress in my paintings. And then for the art business, I'm really looking forward to this class, border-based cold wax and acrylics. I
Yes.
think it's going to be such fun, and I think it it really adds interest to the painting, from just a regular acrylic painting to this layering process with all the beautiful textures and layers and colors, and yeah.
You have an offer that I can tell everyone to go check out right now?
Well, I don't have a free offer in acrylics yet,
In
but
acrylics.
I do have some videos on YouTube, which are, I think, worth checking out, because I'm comparing the cold wax medium and the cold wax water based cold wax. In those videos, I have a mini course in me exploring the water-based cold wax. So if people can't wait till October, they can dive in that one and start trying that one out.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So
So
your YouTube channel, we will link it, but they
yeah,
just
Marina TVB Art.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's Marina
Yes.
TVB Art.
Yes, that's me.
Okay.
Because my
Perfect.
name is unpronounceable in any other language than Dutch.
We could practice it then.
Yes, but no, I shortened it. It's easier for
That
everybody.
that does make it easier for all of
Yes.
us in America who have a hard time learning other
Yeah, but
language.
everybody.
I love it. So, well, I want everyone to go check you out on YouTube and see if this is the medium to explore. And for those who already have a business or developing a creative business idea, what words of advice could you give to them?
Words of advice. Well, just dive in and go, don't hold back.
Action.
And have a structure before you start. No, but it's not really true because I started without a structure and it worked for a while. But yeah, be sure to have structure because if not, you will be burned out as the work will be growing.
But I love the quote that I've heard many, many times, and I don't know where it originates. Action creates clarity. And until you're doing it, you really don't know what it is you want to do or how you want to do it. So diving in.
That's it. That's why I say dive in and see where it ends.
Just be a good swimmer. That's all. You're going to have to be a good swimmer to get through it. Oh, I love it. All right. Marina TVB, and I want you all to go and give her a good shout out and say hi that you found her on the Made Remarkable podcast.
Yes. Oh, I'm very, very honored to be here.
Thank you so much for joining me. It was an honor and a pleasure to have you as a client through Build It Remarkable.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.